So, we're starting to get an issue with my flower garden. Here's the problem. I got a lot of things I want to plant, and I only have so much space, so many beds. So, we're going to fix that problem today. I've got a bunch of seeds here that I think I'm going to start planting inside pots. I got a lot of pots that I got, and I think I'm going to plant them in pots. And then what we'll do is we'll take those pots, put them in our garden, and then it'll just be like little garden bed in between all my other garden beds. So we'll have little pots and stuff throughout my whole garden. So, in today's video, join me as we plant a ton of flowers. We're going to debate on what we're going to plant here, but mainly we're going to fill some pots with dirt and get some of these seeds in the ground. When I say I have pots, I have pots. I got a lot of pots. These are all mum pots, and I saved them all from my landscaping job. And so all these pots are going to make some nice little homes for all of our seeds that we're going to plant. So all of these seeds are basically new things that I bought prior to my garden plan. So I made my plan, and then I just kept buying. And then I also had stuff that I couldn't fit in my garden. And so there's just things that didn't fit, and I was just disappointed because I couldn't grow them. But then I had the thought, and I was like, wait, I have so many pots. So many pots. And I have a greenhouse now. So why don't I just try to start these indoors now, even though we're really, really close to putting things in the ground. Might as well get a head start anyway. Put these in the greenhouse, and then we'll move them all out to the garden whenever they start to come up, or if whenever the weather is nicer and there's not a chance of frost. So there's things also in here that I know spread, and so if I keep them contained, they're not going to go everywhere and reseed. So here are the things I'm going to be starting today. I'm going to do the baby's wreath and the forget-me-nots because last year they kind of took over and I just don't want that, so I'm going to keep them in a container. I also have this helichrysum. I've never grown this, but we're going to give it a try. And then I have two poppies, two Shirley poppies. These are probably going to go in a smaller pot, not this one. Maybe we'll just keep it in the greenhouse, so we'll see. But I'm going to go with those ones. And then I think I'm going to try to plant some perennials in a pot. So we have some larkspur. It's an annual, but it's actually a hardy annual, which if you didn't know, we've talked about this before. I have a video on it. I'll have it linked at the end for you guys. But larkspur is a hardy annual, and I think I'm going to plant those in a pot. I think I'm going to plant some foxglove as well. But I might attempt to do some blue bedder sage and rudbeckia, but that, I don't know. I don't know what all I'm going to get into today. For right now, we're just going to look at all these seeds and then try to plant some today. Next, I think I'm going to go for some sunflowers. I've got a whole container full of sunflowers. I think I'm going to try to get a few of those, actually direct sowing those in my garden, because I already have, like, starts from last year, seeds that dropped. I have things coming up in my garden already, so you know what? I've got so many seeds. If some of them die, oh well, but we're at the point in our gardening season where we can pretty much direct sow everything now. I think I'm also going to try to put in some snapdragons in pots, because if I can bring my pots in over winter, now that I have a greenhouse available to me, I think I might do that, because these actually can stay in an area. If you keep them in an area, they'll come back better and better each year. They're also a hardy annual. So I think I'm going to try some of these and put them in their own pots. I have the white snowflake, I have the rose, and the apple blossom snapdragon. All from My Gardener. I'm very excited to see how their seeds do, because this is something that I've been wanting to buy from, a company that I've been wanting to buy from, and I bought a lot this year, so I'm excited to see how those go. I also have some dwarf cherry rose nasturtium. These are so beautiful. I'm so excited to grow those, but I think I'm going to put them in a pot as well. That way they don't take over, because nasturtium has a tendency to explode. I'm also going to put in some marigolds just to direct so I have a pot of them. I have some Eskimo seeds that I saved, and then some red and yellow firecracker marigolds that I saved as well. So, bunch of things. Let's fill these pots with dirt, and then let's get some things in the ground. I think I have everything laid out. Let me show you guys. I've basically taken the pots and then filled them with like the sizing that I think each of these seeds will need to stay in their container all year long. And if I have to transplant, I will. But for now, let me show you guys where I put everything. So in these smaller pots, we have our snapdragons. They shouldn't need much, and then 3 pots for all 3 of the snapdragons. I have these 4 larger ones compared to the snapdragons. That's the size difference. And in here, I'm putting my perennials, my bluebetter sage, my foxglove, my larkspur, and my rudbeckia. In these 3 pots, these are longer. In these 3 pots, I have my forget-me-nots, my baby's breath, and my helichrysum. In these mum pots, I have the dwarf, cherry rose, nasturtium, and then the marigolds. And finally, these last 2, I'm going to put the poppies in here. So let's go fill all these up with dirt. It's a pretty muddy mess back here, but I've got my compost here. I'm gonna try to pull from areas. We used to have compost all over here, but I'm gonna try to pull from some of the areas where the compost was, but a lot of it is looking like clay, so I'm probably gonna get as much compost topsoil that I can, and then we'll mix it with some of the seed starter mix, the peat moss, and stuff like that. So let's dig up some of this dirt clay stuff. Got what I could. It's not too bad. A little bit of grass mulch in there. Got a few chunks of clay, but we'll throw those out. But a lot of it looks like pretty decent dirt. We'll mix this with some of the starter soil mix. That way it's a little bit finer for the seeds, and then we'll go ahead and plant our stuff. Oh, I have my compost, and then I have a separate wheelbarrow which I'll be mixing everything in. But I'm gonna take my compost, mix it with the moss potting mix, the peat moss, and the potting soil. I forgot that I actually have potting mix, but the reason I didn't use it for seed starting was because it's really chippy. So technically I should be starting these. See, this is like a big wood chip. I should probably start these seeds in a finer material, but I mean, I'm gonna try to start them. It's just like I would start them in my garden, because the soil isn't fine or anything. So we're gonna mix up our own mix using the compost, the peat moss, maybe some perlite, and then also we'll get the potting mix in there as well. So let's mix up some soil. I have myself a half decent mixture here. It's not like crazy great, but for what I have, it's decent. I didn't measure anything. It's the compost, the peat moss, a little bit of perlite, not much though, and then the potting mix. So we have a pretty decent mix here. You can hear the bobwhite quail in the back. I love those birds. But we have a pretty decent mixture here. Now we're going to fill all of our pots, and then we're gonna plant some seeds. Just finished potting everything. I'm pretty pleased with how the soil looks and the mix. I think because they're new seeds, I might make a seed starter mix and just top each one of these off just to help it grow a little bit better. But I have all of my plants lined up, sorted out, and now we're going to go ahead and plant them. It's a new day. I'm back. I was not able to complete this task last night. It was too much work getting all the dirt in, and then anyway, I topped off all of the pots with the seed starter mix. So now they're completely ready to be planted. So you know what we're planting, you know how it's gonna go. Let's plant all these pots. flowers have been planted. So now we're going to give these water, and we're going to repackage all of our open seeds. I like to put them in snack baggies. Some of these I left in the greenhouse. Don't do that with your seeds. We talked about this before. I have a video on it that I can put at the end. It talks about how you should be storing your seeds, and one of the ways you should not be storing them is in your greenhouse, because it can get humid, and then the humidity causes moisture and heat, which causes seeds to germinate. Put them in your seed storing containers. Put them in a cool, dark place, not in a warm, moist place like I did last night. It was accidental, but we have some moisture in some of the bags, so we're just gonna move them to some new packages. But this is an accomplishment for today. I'm really pleased with how it went, and I'm pleased that you guys could join me here today. So hit the like and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more of my videos. Make sure to turn on that bell notification so you get notified every time I post. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. As always, I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.